FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
We cannot allow dissent to be suppressed in this country. It's really what will save us. Which brings me back to the Republican convention and what happened to us at Democracy Now!, as well as other reporters who went to cover it. And my colleagues at Democracy Now!, Sharif Abdel-Quddus and Nicole Salazar, and I were arrested at the Republican convention simply as we were doing our job. We were there to cover everything. The protests outside in the streets, what was going on in the suites, who gets sponsored by the Democratic and Republican convention, who gets feted, who's paying for those parties, and also what's happening on the convention floor. And it's absolutely critical that we be able to do all of this. They redefined the demand for a free media. Yes, we need a free media, and we shouldn't have to free the media, but that's just what we have to do. The first day of the Republican convention, there was a protest 10,000 strong, led by soldiers who had fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, who'd come home, some of them wearing their uniforms, but who were opposed to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. It was a bright blue day. The people marched from the City Hall to the Excel Center where the convention was about to take place. I went into the convention then and was interviewing delegates from the hottest state, from Alaska. And my colleagues went to continue to cover the protest. And I got a call on my cell phone that Nicole and Sharif had been arrested. We raced out of the convention center to 7th and Jackson and St. Paul. There was the full Army police line, the riot police in full Army riot, or rather in full riot regalia, black from head to toe, in their black uniforms and their batons and their shielded helmets. And they had fully contained the area. I raced up to them. They could see I was in, I'd just come from the convention floor with my press credentials around my neck, and I just demanded to speak to the supervising officer and say that my colleagues were being arrested. I said, you've got to release them. They've got their press credentials on. They are fully credentialed. And, within seconds, they'd ripped me through the line, and they'd twisted my arms behind my back, and they slapped the handcuffs on and pushed me to the ground, and I was under arrest. I was looking desperately for Nicole and Sharif. I saw Sharif across the parking lot. He was handcuffed. I saw that he'd been bloodied, and I demanded to be brought to him. I finally was there. We were both standing. He had his press credentials in full view, as I did, and said, you can see we're credentialed reporters. You have to release us now, whereupon the Secret Service came and ripped the credentials from around our necks. And then they put me in the police wagon where I saw Nicole, who was handcuffed, had her press credential around her neck, and described what happened. They'd gone to cover this protest. The riot police were coming quickly at them. She was filming. As the police were coming at them, this is very chilling videotape that was immediately posted online in formation. They're shouting, on your face, on your face. She's shouting back, press, press, as she's filming and holding up her press credential. And they took her down on her face. And as they have her down on her face with her arms twisted back and her knee or boot in her back, they are dragging on her leg, which is bloodying her face. And her camera's down on the ground. You see it tumble down. The first thing they do is pull the battery out of her camera. If you had any sense of what they didn't want to be happening there, is the filming of this whole process. Sharif is warning them. He's saying, calm down, calm down. They throw him up against the wall, kick him twice in the chest, throw him down, and they twist his arms behind his back, and they handcuff him. They took me off to the police garage where they had erected cages for the protesters, and Sharif and Nicole they'd taken off to jail. And it really was Twitter and YouTube and emails and this form of decentralized information getting out that freed us that night, because they must have gotten hundreds, if not thousands, of responses because of independent filmmakers who immediately posted our arrest to YouTube. It was the most watched YouTube in the first 2 days of the Republican convention was just our arrests, and within hours, we were released. I was charged with a misdemeanor, interference with a peace officer, if only there was a peace officer in the vicinity, and Nicole and Sharif faced felony charges. This is a very serious problem. We should not have to get a record for putting things on the record. That is our job. It is our responsibility to go to where the silence is, to go to where the places are where people are making plenty of noise but are not being covered, where the microphones are not out. You know, democracy is a messy thing. It's not just the orchestrated word from the Democratic or Republican convention that we should be covering, but we should be covering what's happening outside as well. That's our job.